Hey guys, it's a beautiful Monday. I hope you're having a good day. And if not, maybe I can help you with the matchups and it's going to be a little bit better when you're playing solo queue or something. That'd be nice. So this is super important. Matchups is so important to learn and figure out. This is probably going to help you how to play them and also when to pick Vi, when is she good, against what kind of champions, maybe what champions do with a ban. So that's what I'm going to go through today. I'm not going to go through every single matchup. That is something I've done before. Now, this is like an updated matchup, so you can see the matchups. So first, we're going to go through the matchups for Platinum and below. And then afterwards, I'm going to do Emerald and above. So first, here, we're going to be taking a look at the worst matchups. Yikes. That's what I call them. D tier. These are really tough. And as you can see, sort of the overall thing here is that they're quite tanky. They have a lot of CC, and not only that, but their CC is very reliable. So that is quite rough. Something like a Mumu, you can't avoid that CC. You're gonna get hit some way or another, and your Qs are gonna get interrupted. Your engage is gonna be rough. If you do go in, there's no way out. This is a big thing because Vi can really go in and out, and she can play against tanky champions, but if she can't escape them, it's very difficult. So if you're playing against the Mundo, for example, it's quite fine because you can go in, burst him, and you can kind of just run away from him, Q away, and just like use your mobility against these champs. You're just stuck. That's a big thing, and they're also quite difficult to play against team fights. So that's the general idea. Also, I'm going to talk about that a little bit on the transition to the high-low tier list, something else. But then we're going to take a look at the C tier. Here it's better, but just the matchups doesn't go as well. You have 1v1s, it's kind of difficult, and overall they're just a bit of a counter, so it's not easy to play this. It's definitely winnable, but it's not easy. So like in the D tier, this is going to be your ban champion unless you have another preference. These are the champions you maybe should ban. If you have a matchup, if you feel like really good about the Nocturne matchup, for example, don't ban it. Like, that's fine. I feel quite fine about the Nocturne matchup myself, so it's not the worst for me. So that is like a little bit personal preference, how you figure out the matchups, because like if you learn a trick or two, that can flip certain matchups. So that is really big. But yeah, in general, that's going to be hard. And then we got the B tier, which is the skill matchups, which is very skill based. You can outplay them, they can outplay you. If you figure out some matchups tricks, you can win these. And whoever gets ahead usually snowballs. This is kind of that category. Then we got the easy matchups, which is Vi is gonna win them like 60-70% of the time. It's good for her. She kind of counters them. They don't have too much CC, or they're quite weak in this meta. So this tier list also takes into how strong they are right now. My tier list from before was more of a neutral one. This is for the meta right now as I see it, like who is strong. So this is why some of the champions are a little bit lower than maybe in other cases. And then we got the S tier, free low. These are, as you can see, it's quite hard champions. They're easy to lock down. They don't have any CC, or like they very little CC. And yeah, they're just like difficult to play in low elo. So if the enemy team picks these champions in low elo, you're gonna be good, and especially on champions like Vi. So this is how I see the matchups for Vi in the lower elos. And then we're going to transition over to the high-low, and what you're going to see here, it's quite important for the low elo to understand, because you're going to be able to see how I can make the low elo matchups easier, like why those certain matchups become a lot better in high-low compared to low elo, and I can teach you that, so it's going to be easy for you to play. All right, here we are, the high-low. One thing that you're going to see here is that it's a little bit more extreme. So like the good matchups is a little bit better, and there's more good ones, and there's maybe more worse ones as well. So it's like a bigger distribution towards the higher and lower end. That is because in high-low, they're better at exploiting the weaknesses of the enemy jungler. So if you have good matchups, they're gonna push this harder, and if you have a bad matchup, you're gonna be pushed in and bullied, and they're gonna exploit you. In lower elos, it's more neutral. They don't know when you have the advantage, when you don't. They're not going to be as aggressive and play as direct. So that is a big thing. Another thing you're going to be seeing here, as a lot of the tanks, and especially the immobile tanks, is actually moved a little bit higher on the tier list. And the reason for this is that high-low Vi's are better at playing in and out. So especially with Vi in the later, like last 3 seasons, I feel like she's evolved more and more this way. That before in season 9 and stuff, you used to be able to just go in there and just continue to hit people and just outstat them. They stripped away a lot of Vi's stats, especially in the early stages of the game, so it's quite difficult to play that way. You got to play in and out, you got to play around the cooldowns, use that mobility, because your Q cooldown is quite low, especially when you get to rank 8 or like level 8, level 9. You start to have a fully maxed out Q. You can really play in and out. You play the burst and then you kite them a little bit. In lower elos, they go in and they just stay there, and they're just like, if you're gonna just Q in and start hitting an Olaf, he's gonna win that every time. But if you Q in, you bait him, you kind of kite him out, you Q over the wall, he loses his ultimate, now you go back in. This is how you can play against these tanky champions. You need to play in and out against stat checking champions like the Olaf, like the Darius, like many of these champions that is tanky, and Warwick as well. Warwick is still a bad matchup in high-elo. That champion is just like, yeah, his Vi's that. It is what it is, you know. Another thing you see here, as it Briar and some of these champions, you can really bully quite early game, and you can really invade them a lot. So I would say some of the matchups for the Lee Sin, the Evelyn, some of Nidalee, the champions that are listed up there, a few more fall into this category, and it's even better. I would say it's S+ the matchups, because they can really, you can really push the lead, you can invade, and you can exploit the lower clear speed and so on. So, and then we still got the hard. It's a lot to do with the CC and this. But yeah, we're doing a little bit better against the more brawlery big champions that you can kite out and play around. But it's a little bit worse with the Elise, the Zyra, and some of these champions that is a little bit more difficult to play, but those are really hard for Vi if they play it right, because they usually have the outplay potential or some advantage that they can push hard. So I think with Vi, as you can see, like the big defense champions actually do really well generally into Vi. Champions that like to get dove, for example, a Maokai or a Zyra, they love when people come into them, because they're just going to counter with all their spells and just throw out a bunch of damage and CC and just hold everybody back. So even though you go in, you're going to take a lot of damage, and your team that's trying to follow up as well is really going to struggle. This is the problem with Shen as well, who's been showing up in jungle and top a lot more now. He's really OP. So he's been a huge problem, because he's kind of like this. You dive into the Z, you just get 1000 shield, you're gonna get taunted, and you can't do anything. And this is also why you need to play a little bit slower. Try to play slower. This is going to help you with so many matchups that are like this. You don't always have to dive in. Be thoughtful of this. Usually that is the case for the lower Spectre here. That is the difficult matchups are usually the ones that is like, when you dive in, it's going to be not as easy. So you have to play Vi a little bit different. So this is how I see the matchups in high-elo. You're going to be able to see it. There's not much more to explain. If you want information about how I play every single matchup and just like a few tricks against one of them, go to my matchup guide from a year ago. It still holds up. Like it's still, you play the matchups the same way, and there's just a few tricks in there with categories. You can go to the champion you maybe struggle against, or the one you play against. You can check out that video. If you find this video useful, please hit like. It really helps me out so we can spread the video for more people. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day, and I'll see you next one.